Hey guys, Stevenson at Homes by Sun with Remax. Happy 2022 to you. I hope you had a fantastic year in 2011. We certainly did in real estate as a whole. The market was, as you're probably already aware, it was quite red hot. And so today I wanted to take some time to discuss about what had happened last year, as well as start a new series. We're going to take a look at weekly numbers, because what I realize is if we look at just monthly data, the month after it had happened, we're looking at history. And the monthly data is an average for that previous month. But the previous month could have had a really strong start and a really weak end to it. So if we do the average, it still looks good, but it doesn't really tell the whole picture of how the market is trending. So I think looking at some weekly information will help us predict where the market is going the week after or the months after. With a little bit more accuracy, because we are going to be able to see the trend in smaller increment. So I'm starting that with the past week, which is the first week of 2022. And then in this series, hopefully will go on for the rest of the year. So let me just first start with talking about numbers from last year. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so minimize that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the Market Watch numbers published by TREP for 2021. Interesting thing to note is we had the best year in 2021. A lot of records were broken. One of the records was the number of sales. If you take a look at the number of sales, it's right here. 2021 was 121,000 sales. Our average every year is usually around 100 to 110. 2020 was a little bit lower than average, but every year we're almost always around 100,000. So 2021, I would say at least 15% above average, and compared to 2020, it was like almost 30%. The number of transactions for 2021 was December was 6,000. That's a little bit below average. Average would be every month will be about 9,000, give and take. So because due to the lack of inventory, which I'm going to go over in a bit, that's why we saw a reduction in number of sales. Total number of listing, let me just erase that. So total number of new listing also was down. In December was 5,100. Now, interesting to note, by the end of December, we only had about 3,200 active listings. So these are properties that are listed that you can buy on the MLS. Normally, our average year, you should be looking at active listing about 7,000 to 9,000, I would say. So we had maybe a third of normally available listing for sale. So inventory is definitely very, very tight. And if we look at the average selling price, and there's no doubt why the average selling price was almost 1.1 million in G.T.A, in like the whole Toronto real estate board. because of the tight inventory, many listings were selling above asking, and more than a similar property sold in the previous month. That's push up the average selling price. And before we go further, just one more thing I wanted to point out. If you look at, turn that off. If you look at the number of transaction, I wrote a newsletter yesterday. And in the newsletter, I mentioned that there are 63,000 real estate agents. If you divide that into the number of total transactions for last year, you can see that, you know, the average is only 2 transactions. So that means a lot of agents are actually not doing this full time. They do maybe between 0 deals to 1 deal a year. And that's something that's important when you are picking for an agent to work with. You need to ask how many transactions have they completed, have they done? Because in this business, experience is everything. Education only teaches you so much, but the rest of it you need to learn by doing. So just interesting fact that the average number of transactions for agents is only 2. All right, so let's take a look at the weekly data. So I have an Excel spreadsheet here, and I'm going to explain how this was set up. So on the left side, got my pen. Okay. So on the left side here, we have the G.T.A freehold market. So this side, that's G.T.A freehold. And on the right side, we have condos. Condos is on this side, okay? And in each column, what I did was I had to start with the last week of 2021 so that I can actually have a percentage for the first week of 2022. So what we're looking at here is just G.T.A freehold sales, and we're going to take a look at how many new listings were listed for that week. Second column is new listing percentage increase. So from week to week, what's the increase in the number of transactions? The number of freehold sales. So how many sales happened during that week? So keep in mind that the number of sales can be higher than new listings because they could be listings that listed before the week specified here. So existing inventory. And then we're going to take a look at how many listings actually sold over asking. So this is the 101% plus column. So these are the listings that were sold during that week that were sold for more than 101%. So over asking. So we're going to see how that tells the trend of where the market is heading. And the number of sold listing over asking, the percentage. What's the percentage? So this is a percentage between these two. What's the percentage of listing that sold over asking? And then we're going to take a look at how many new listings that sold. So these are the 58. These are the listings that were just listed that week and they were sold. And this is the percentage of that. And we're going to do the same thing with condo. Now for condo, we're only doing 416 areas, so Toronto. So anything in Markham, anything in Peel is not noted here, but I'm happy to do a personalized analysis with you one-on-one if any of you is interested to know about your own area. So what I did was I graphed, here's a graph to give you an idea. So the red line here is the number of new listing. We can see that I'll call this week 1, but it's actually week 0, that we started with 225 listing and went up to 745 listing. Now that's understandable. Over Christmas, a lot of listings didn't come onto the market because the sellers were celebrating Christmas, New Year. They didn't want people coming in. So traditionally, we will have a lot less listing during the last week of December. That's normal. But this is the number. 745 is the number of new listing for the first 7 days of January. Typically, we should see this number around per week. I would say around 1,200, 1,100, 1,200. So this is still a little bit below average. Just to give you an idea, last January, first week in 2021, we had about 860 transactions. Sorry, not transaction, listings. So we're at 745, a little bit still less than the average number of new listing per week. The yellow line here you see is the number of sales. So the number of sales actually went down. And that's partly because I think agents are away or buyers are away or people are busy celebrating Christmas, New Year, and they weren't out and about looking at properties during the first week of January. So I foresee the number of sales is going to pick up. When we added that many new listings, many of them will be purchased by the second week. So we're going to see this number spike. This is going to go up, hopefully, and we can verify that next week. And then the green line is number of transactions that were sold for over asking. Now, interesting to know that not every property sells over asking. There are great many properties that are on the market right now that are maybe priced a little bit higher. So there is room to negotiate, or they might be in a less desirable location or features that so happen that the buyers on the in the market are not interested in. But if you are in the market or you're about to get into the market, there may be opportunities for you. You may not have to bid for a property if it meets your criteria. So there are still opportunities out there. So 75% of the listing was sold over asking for the first week of 2022, and then 61% during the end of 2021 were sold over asking. It's still a very high number. In a more balanced market, this number should be lower. I would say 30 to 40% will be a more balanced market. But if we're seeing this number, there are still more buyers out there than the number of good listings. So that's the freehold side. We can draw a little bit more conclusion as we get more data. But what I am seeing is that because of Omicron, a lot of listings are being withheld right now because sellers don't want people to come into the house. So my prediction is in the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to see a steady increase of number of new listings. By March, my prediction is by March, we're going to see this number jump up to maybe like double, 1,400, 1,500, hopefully. And that will ease up on the pressure on the price. So if we take a look at the condo market, so the condo market, we can see that there were 100 listings listed by the end of 2021, and then 374 by the first week of 2022. So again, you have this line here that shows the number of new listings. Number of sales has gone down. So what does that mean? Well, condos a little bit different. Condo sales, normally it takes a little bit longer because most of the deals have at least one condition, which is to look at the status certificate. So some of the deals might have already been done, but they haven't been firmed up yet. Because looking at the status, looking at the health of the condo corporation it's pretty important. So some of these sales that happened in the first week of January will be firmed up by second or latest third week of January. So we should see the numbers spike up again, because it doesn't count as a sale unless it's firmed up. So we can see that so there was a decline in the number of sales. The number of sales that were over asking is also a decline, which makes sense because if the number of sales decline, obviously the number of sale over asking also decline. So we're going to keep an eye out on the number of new listings that come out and also the number of sales. If those two numbers start to have a bigger gap, then we can predict that the price is going to be, it's going to come down a bit. Now, demand, which is this line, demand is, or number of sales is a leading indicator for price, and which is another reason why I'm doing this exercise, is to try to predict price. Where is the price heading? And as we get more data, we're going to be able to draw a better conclusion by looking at the gap between the number of sales and the number of new listings to predict prices. Okay, so this was the sales side of things. I wanted to talk a little bit about the rental side of things. So let me get rid of this rental. Okay, so on the rental side of things, we had 357, so a little bit different layout for the rental. For the rental, what I've done is same thing. We did the number of new listing, number of listing increases, number of property leased, the ratio. Okay, so a little bit different here. I did the ratio, so how many leased versus how many new listing came up. This number could be higher than 100%. It's simply an indication of how much inventory was taken away versus how much inventory were added. So if this number is over 100%, which means there are more properties leased than properties going onto the market. So that also gives you an idea, where rental prices is heading. New listing leased, how many brand new listing were leased that week, and percentage. And then I have broken down the average price for each category. So 1 bedroom, 1+1, 2 bedroom, and 2+1. And you can deduce that anything larger than 2+1, the average price will be higher. But they are very few and far between, so we're not going to look at them in this analysis. All right, so let's take a look at the number of new listings versus leased. We can see that there were a lot more listings added during the first week of 2022 versus the number that were leased, which is a good sign for if you're a tenant, if you're looking for rental, it's a good sign. But if you're a landlord, don't worry. It is January, and January typically have less tenant looking to move than in the warmer month or the month leading to September. So Right now, if you had a property that you need to lease, what you want to do is list it at a reasonable price. Prices, if we look at on the right side here, where the prices are, you can see that the prices have been relatively flat. The red line here is 1 bedroom. So this is 1 bedroom. This is 1+1, and then we've got 2 bedroom and 2+1. I don't think landlord should be greedy at this point right now. With Omicron still lingering around, I think it's better for you to find a good tenant and put a tenant in instead of trying to get the top price, because every with rental, every month you have carrying costs, and if you don't put someone in, you're losing that month's rent for sure. So my advice, if you have something that you need to rent out, put it at market or below market. So this is the market price for 1 bedroom, about $2,000. Put it at $1,950, put it at $1,900, and I'm sure you're going to get a ton of people that are interested. Then you can pick and choose. And then there's 1+1 is about $2,200. 2 bedroom, we're looking at about $2,700. And then, 2 bedroom, yeah. And then 2+1, we're looking at about $3,000. Use this as a guideline only. Different buildings have different sort of their own average price. If a more prestigious building can demand more money versus, a 20-year-old condo. Also, a big factor in terms of pricing is what utilities are covered by the condo court. Some buildings cover water, hydro, and everything, so there's no extra charge, but many condos separate water and hydro. So keep that in mind. If your condo does not include most of the utilities, then do not charge the average price, maybe charge a little bit less. That way, it works out to be similar. You're more competitive with other building that includes all the utilities for tenants. So this is week 1. This was my weekly analysis, and hopefully that's useful. I think it will be more useful as we go along with a little bit more data. We can draw a better conclusion. But so I hope this was helpful for you to have a brief understanding of where the market is right now. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email. My number is going to be below this video, contact information. Please feel free to reach out. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And in the future videos, I will address some of the questions that you guys asked during the video. Okay, so happy Monday again, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.